Rusame reader, Rusame, and today I will be reading to you from The Masquerade by Daughter of Apollo 2019. Now, on to Chapter 10, The Flashback, Part 1. Two years ago. It was the night of America's 16th birthday. Well, technically his birthday wasn't for another couple of days, and the ball being thrown was for both his and Canada's birthdays. But to him, he felt on top of the world. He went around and talked to almost everyone, making sure to check that they were having a good time and that everyone was. America was one of the most loved princes in all of the neighboring kingdoms, and boy did he know it. He was friends with so many people, it was hard for him to keep track. But there was one person America could always rely on. His best friend was the Philippines, but that was long and too formal of a name for America, so to keep it short, he called him Phil. In return, Phil called America Joe. It was only fair. While America was rowdy and always wanted to go off on wild adventures, Phil was a lot more reasonable, but still eager to go exploring when it really came down to it. And that's what made them such good friends. Phil and Joe did almost everything together, and they were always inviting the other over to their castles. If there was anyone who knew the Britannia castle as well as the family members, it was Phil. And considering how large the castle was, that was a pretty big feat. Phil even knew about the secret passageways hidden in the castle, the little dark hallways that only the servants were supposed to know about, but somehow America knew about them anyway. America and Phil had always spent their time crawling through the passageways, trying to see if there were any secret rooms hidden somewhere in the castle. So far, they hadn't found anything, but they weren't giving up. And despite the fact that there was a pretty large party going on, today was no different. Psst, Phil, I gotta show you something I found. America whispered into the darkness, knowing his friend was in there somewhere. What is it, Joe? Came the curious whisper back. America reached out to grab what he assumed was Phil's wrist and started to pull him down the hallway. Before long, their eyes started to adjust to the dark and they could see where they were going. I was doing some light exploring earlier today, and I happened to stumble across a room that I don't think I'm allowed in. America started talking. And I saw this table pretty close to the hidden entrance, so I reached in and grabbed it, and brought it away so no one would know. Then I stashed it in here so I could find it later. America gave his friend a wicked grin, and he could tell that Phil was beginning to get a little nervous. Joe, where's this going? Phil asked, and you could hear his voice waver a little. Look, I'm turning 16, right? I think I should be allowed to have a little fun. America's grin only widened as they slowed to a stop. America then knelt down by a grate and rummaged through it before pulling out a slim bottle. Phil gasped, Joe, is that? It's my mother's champagne, America said, a little too calmly for Phil's liking. Are you suggesting we get drunk? Joe, I know you want more freedom, but are you sure this is how you get it? Phil took a small step back. Come on, Phil. We'll just have a little bit. It's not like drinking is a big deal anyway. Have you seen Germany and Finland? They drink all the time. America rolled his eyes. Yeah, but... Phil tried to come up with a decent excuse, but nothing came to mind. Please, Phil. It's my birthday after all. America pleaded, and Phil had to concede. Alright, fine. Only a little bit. It took America and Philippines a while to successfully pour the champagne into 2 cups that America had stashed away in the grates, but when they did, they had a mini celebration. To Joe, and a happy birthday to him. Phil made a toast, and America followed with, to me! Then they clinked their plastic cups together and drank their cupful. It didn't take much to get them pretty drunk. At some point, Phil pointed out that it was rather dusty in the passageway, and so him and America opted to up and leave and head up to America's room. So they bottled up the champagne, put it and the cups back into the grate, and left the secret passageways, choosing to use the regular hallways instead. They were lucky enough to not run into anyone on the way, which was pretty good considering how mad both of their parents could get if they did something wrong. Eventually, they both made it to America's room, where they sat on his bed together. At first, they tried to hold a conversation, but that quickly died out and they sat in relatively comfortable silence. "Phil, I gotta tell you something," America said suddenly, words slurring together a little on account of the alcohol. "You look pretty hot right now, I gotta say." "Oh?" Phil questioned, also quite drunk, but less drunk than America. And then, in a drunken, uncoordinated way, America managed to kiss Phil, which slowly evolved into the two of them making out, which evolved into them cuddling together on the bed until they fell asleep. They stayed that way until the morning, and that's when everything went to hell. And that's the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoyed. Anyway, I'd like to invite you to join the Discord, which is linked down in the description below. That being said, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, night, or whatever it is for you. Just enjoy your time. And I will see you tomorrow.